We have a major developing story in the Taiwan Strait. China has just launched a massive military exercise, but this one is different. It's called Justice Mission 2025. And believe me, this isn't just another drill. We're going to break down exactly what makes this a dangerous new playbook.
12月29日开始，中国人民解放军东部战区组织陆军、海军、空军、火箭军等兵力，为台湾海峡、台岛北部、台岛西南、台岛东南、台岛以东组织正义使命2025演习，重点演练海空战备警巡、夺取综合制权、要港要域风控、外线立体涉阻等科目，建基多项抵近台岛，诸军兵种联合突击，旨在检验战区部队联合作战实战能力。这是对台独分裂势力和外部干涉势力的严重警告，是捍卫国家主权、维护国家统一的正当必要行动。
Everything kicked off today, December 29th. China's Eastern Theater Command announced it's mobilizing, well, pretty much everything. Its Army, Navy, Air Force, and rocket units for what they're calling major military drills. This isn't just rattling the saber. This is a highly coordinated operation that is unfolding as we speak.
Look, we've all seen Chinese drills before, right? But the details coming out of this one point to a huge shift in strategy. It feels less like a political statement and, much more like a full-dress rehearsal. So the question is, what exactly are they rehearsing for?
Okay, the first and most critical shift you need to grasp is the objective of the exercise itself. It looks like they're moving away from the classic invasion scenario to something, frankly, a lot more insidious, a strategy of total strangulation.
So this is the crucial point. Remember last year's joint sword drills? That was all about encirclement, practicing a D-Day style landing. But Justice Mission is all about a systemic blockade and control. Think about that. They're not just practicing how to get onto the island anymore. They're practicing how to cut it off from the rest of the world completely. And this right here, this is the new playbook laid bare. State media is reporting that a core part of this is blockading Taiwan's two most vital ports, Keelung up north, Kaohsiung down south. The goal? Comprehensive superiority, total control of the sea and air. And get this last point, strikes as soon as it commences. That signals a whole new level of readiness, an ability to launch a full-scale operation with practically zero warning.
And this is where the strategy gets incredibly clever and dangerous. By focusing on a blockade, China is really rehearsing for a quarantine. Now, legally, a blockade is a clear act of war. A quarantine, though, that can be framed as law enforcement. The goal is to choke Taiwan economically while staying just below the legal line that would trigger a military response from the US and its allies. The global economic shockwaves from that? They'd be off the charts.
But this isn't just about Taiwan. No. Justice Mission 2025 is an explicit, loud and clear warning to Washington and Tokyo. And the message is simple. Stay out.
You really don't get much clearer than that. This is the official statement from the PLA's own spokesperson. They aren't even trying to hide it. That phrase, external interfering forces, that's a direct shot at the United States and its allies, especially Japan.
So why now? Well, two recent events seem to be the direct triggers. First, that massive $11.1 billion U.S. arms package that was announced back on December 18th. And second, some very pointed comments from Japan's Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, who basically said that a Chinese move on Taiwan could be a survival-threatening situation for Japan. Beijing is now responding to both of those things with overwhelming force.
And this brings us to some brand new and very significant language from the PLA. This phrase, all-dimensional deterrence outside the island chain, this is the first time we've seen it in an official drill announcement like this. It really marks a formal change in their doctrine. They're not just focused on Taiwan's immediate backyard anymore, they are actively practicing how to fight and win a battle against anyone who tries to intervene in the wider Pacific.
And of course, the propaganda is right there to reinforce the message. This graphic put out by the PLA shows this massive shield with the caption, "All external intervention will perish upon the shield." This is basically a poster for their anti-access/area denial, or A2/AD strategy. It's a military concept designed to keep an enemy from even getting into the fight. The message couldn't be simpler. We've built a fortress, and you can't get through.
Now this brings us to the third layer of this whole operation, the political game they're playing.
China is changing the rules, blending military, paramilitary, and political moves in what military experts call gray zone warfare.
So if you're not familiar with the term, gray zone warfare is all about getting what you want without ever having to fire a shot in a declared war. It's about creating facts on the ground, or in this case, at sea, using coercion that just blurs that line between a police action and a military attack. It's designed to paralyze your opponent, to make them ask, is this war or not? And here's what that looks like in the real world. On just the first day of these drills, Taiwan spotted 14 China Coast Guard vessels operating around the island right alongside PLA warships. This isn't just about the numbers, it's about blurring those lines. A warship is an act of war. A Coast Guard cutter? Well, technically that's just law enforcement.
Even the name change is a key part of this whole strategy. Joint sword sounds military, right? It sounds like a punishment. But justice mission, well, that sounds completely different. It reframes the whole thing as something moral, legitimate, almost righteous. It's a shift from a military story to a political one.
And you better believe this rebranding is crucial for the audience at home in China. By calling it a justice mission, Beijing is building the moral case for war in the public's mind. It's preparing its own people for the potential sacrifices of a major conflict by framing it not as aggression, but as a righteous war to defend the nation.
Okay, this slide really pulls it all together, so let's walk through it. First, look at the tactical focus. It's shifted from an amphibious assault to a systemic port blockade. Next, the logic behind it. It's no longer punishment, now it's framed as legal and moral justice. The scope of deterrence has exploded, moving from just Taiwan to all-dimensional deterrence against outside powers. The lead forces have changed too. It's now a hybrid mission, mixing the PLA military with the China Coast Guard. And finally, the escalation pattern. We've gone from a slow, gradual buildup to strikes as soon as it commences. Instant readiness. This isn't an evolution, folks. It's a revolution in their strategic thinking.
You know, the timing of this whole operation was also carefully planned. Beijing didn't just react instantly to the U.S. arms sale on December 18th. They waited for 11 days. And in that time, a new commander for the Eastern Theater Command was put in place, and crucially, a peaceful cross-strait city forum was allowed to finish.
The strategy here is pure psychology. Think about it. Just yesterday, mayors were in Shanghai talking about peace and prosperity. Today, the PLA is simulating a full-scale blockade. By launching the drills after the friendly forum, they create maximum political whiplash. It sends a chilling message. Your dialogue is meaningless, only our military power sets the terms.
So, when you pull all these different threads together, what does this new playbook really mean? Are we watching the final run-through before the real show begins?
So here it is, the 4 fundamental shifts we've just seen. The strategy has moved from invasion to economic strangulation. The main target for deterrence is no longer just Taiwan, but outside powers like the US and Japan. The method is now a hybrid, mixing military and so-called law enforcement tactics. And the message? Well, it's been rebranded from punishment to a righteous mission of justice.
This is no longer just about intimidation. Justice Mission 2025 shows us a complete, multi-layered, and frankly immediately executable plan to isolate Taiwan while daring the rest of the world to do something about it. It forces all of us to ask a deeply unsettling question. Are we just witnessing the final rehearsal for a future war? Or are we watching the opening act?